Hello there everyone. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a roast chicken. Now this is something that we actually do a lot in our house. It's fairly inexpensive. One roast chicken is usually between about $4 and $6 and it'll feed the whole family, and usually I have enough leftovers for lunch next day. So the first thing we want to do is we take our chicken, and the biggest thing that you want to do whenever you're handling with chicken, and you probably already know this, is to make sure that you keep everything clean. Not only do you want to wash your hands because you are preparing food for other people, but also you want to wash your hands pretty frequently just because you don't want to contaminate anything else with salmonella. Now we have our whole chicken right here, and the first thing we want to do is take some paper towels, and you want to actually pat the outside dry, because a lot of times what they do is they don't drain the juices whenever they package these things for the store. And when it's really juicy like that on the outside, it makes it really difficult for any of the seasonings that we're putting on top to stick. A lot of times it'll just dribble off while you're cooking it. So we've got that pretty patted dry. You also want to make sure that you get the inside cavity. Make sure that you take the innards out before you start doing this. Certainly before you cook it, because, well, I've done that before, and it doesn't turn out very well. Okay, so here we are. Now, some things that we're going to need for this. I've got some garlic powder, regular black pepper, paprika, salt, and that's pretty much it. A lot of the times I'll use an onion powder as well, but since I'm using a whole onion in this one, I don't think I'm going to need it. And I've also got 2 carrots here. Now, normally I will use celery stalks, and I'll cut them up, and I'll show you how big I'll cut them. And when you stuff the chicken or a turkey with the celery, and I'm hoping it's the same way with the carrots, when you cook it, all the moisture from whatever vegetable it is will actually go out into the bird, instead of, a lot of people like to do stuffing and it actually sucks in all the moisture, and then you have kind of a dry meat. Okay, so right now what we want to do is I've got my knife, and I've just got some regular unsalted real butter here. And I'm just going to cut it into some thin slices just so it's a lot easier to manage. I do the same thing with my popcorn. Pretty much any time I'm dealing with butter, I like to cut it into thin slices. As you can see, it's pretty thin, and I'm just going to kind of stick those on the inside. You can rub them around, but it'll do that when it's cooking anyway. It'll all melt and kind of boil up inside. So now that I've got that, I'm washing my hands again. Okay, perfect. So now that I have butter on the inside, I'm going to want to do all my seasonings inside. So you just tilt up the bird with the cavity pointed up, and you just sprinkle some. This is a garlic powder. Paprika is not that big of a deal because that kind of goes on top. Don't tell my wife this, but I don't even think paprika has a flavor. I think it's just for basically a food coloring, so it makes it look nicer, because I can't taste it. But she seems to think otherwise. So now that I have this up, good. And there is no rhyme or reason to any of this. You just kind of sprinkle it all in there. So I've got my seasonings. All right, we are back. Hopefully that didn't get messed up too much. I had a problem with my camera, so I had to fix it real quick. Where were we? So right here, we're at the carrots. I peeled some carrots before I started the video. I'm just going to cut them into probably about the length of a finger. And I shouldn't have to do much more than that. That's pretty much the same thing that I'm going to want to do with celery if I had it, but forgot to get it from the store this time. So I've got basically 4 pieces of carrot. I'm just going to stuff them in. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the onion here. I'm just going to cut it into quarters. And stuff them in as well. And the cool thing about this is if you don't have enough room inside the cavity, like let's say your onion is too big or you put too much celery or carrots, you can always just take it and peel the layers apart a little bit and stick it on the outside. And what that'll do is it'll just cook in the juices while you're cooking your bird. So I've got that done. And now I'm going to want to put just a little bit more butter inside the cavity, since the last butter that we put in was really down deep and it's not going to get this stuff right here on the outside. Try to close the cavity as much as you can with your fingers. It's not really going to do all that much. And then you put it with the breast down. And the reason that you're going to want to put the breast down is all the juices while you're cooking it are going to go down from gravity, and you want them to really manifest themselves in the breast, because as we know, it's that white meat that tends to dry out a lot quicker than the dark meat. Now we've stuffed the bird. We want to, this one's still kind of wet, so I'm going to get the paper towel and just kind of pat it dry on the top again. And then you want to take some butter. Again, I'm cutting it into really thin slices. You want to kind of rub it all around here. Now, the longer the butter's been out, as if you leave it out so it gets kind of soft, it makes things a whole lot easier when you're doing this. If not, you just kind of, I just mashed it in my fingers. Look, I'm not a chef at all. Just sometimes I have to cook for the kids when the wife isn't at home. So just kind of rub it in. I don't use that much science to my cooking. I just kind of get it done. Okay, so I've rubbed the outside with butter. Now there's a couple of really cool places here. If you flip the bird back over and you look at the breast, right over, I guess where the neck would be, you can separate the skin. So here on top I have the breast. Here's the neck. There's a spot where you can kind of separate the skin, and you can push butter under the skin over where the breast is. Now this is really cool because all that does is it soaks into the breast while we're cooking it. And believe me, when this is done, it's better, like, you know those rotisserie chickens that you get from the store and everybody likes them because they're so juicy and so easy to, you don't have to cook them or anything like that. These are actually, the meat is juicier than those rotisserie chickens. Like, I don't even like the rotisserie chickens anymore. Now sometimes you'll have a hard time finding these little openings. There we go. So you might have to pry it apart a little bit to slit the butter underneath the skin and on the chicken breast. So again, we flip right back over. If you need to, you can throw some stuff back in the cavity if it fell out while you've been manhandling it here. Now I'm going to wash my hands real quick again. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now, let's see. We've got seasoning on the inside. We've got butter on the inside. We've got butter by the breast. We've got butter on the outside. We've got some onions on the outside that we couldn't fit. So now we're just seasoning the top, really. And what this is going to do, see, I'm a big sucker for skin. I love the skin. My kids love the skin because I love the skin. Even though I don't really like to share my food, I'm glad that they took after me and they have good taste. So I just did the garlic powder and the black pepper. I'm just going to do some salt right on the top, and you just kind of sprinkle it all around. It'll probably look kind of messy when you're done with it, but that's fine, because what happens is, because we dried it off with paper towels and we're putting this really dry stuff on top, it's going to make that skin on top very crispy, which I like. So paprika, like I said, is just for coloring, in my opinion. Just to make it look kind of pretty and professional, I don't know. Okay, so here we are, and as you can see, we have our chicken with all the stuff inside and a bunch of onions around. So what I did is I preheated the oven to 350 degrees, and I'm going to set the timer for about an hour and 20 minutes. Usually it takes between that and an hour and a half, depending on the size of your bird. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and put it in. Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. I just took our chicken out of the oven here and I put the thermometer in, and it's at exactly 171, which is right where we want it to be. Anything above 170 is perfect. Now, a lot of times when I do this, especially when it's just an hour and 20 minutes, if it's a bigger bird, it'll be at around 160, 165, and what happens when that, or what I do when that happens is I cover it up with some aluminum foil for, a good 10 minutes. And what a lot of people don't know is when you do that, it'll actually continue to cook, and it'll get hotter and hotter, and then after a couple minutes, it'll be up to 170, which is what chicken needs to be at. So that's it. Here I'm gonna try to raise it up so you can see this bird here. It's a beautiful bird right there, and you've got the vegetables inside. This should be really good. I'm really excited to dig into this thing. So thanks a lot for watching. Bye.